Ben, how you doing? John Corabi.
Hey, how are you?
All right, buddy. How you doing?
Can't complain. Can't complain at all.
So you up in Ottawa?
I am. You're heading up this way.
Yep. Eventually, we're coming up there with the Daisies. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good time.
Oh, it's gonna be great. That's in end of August, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
We start in August, and it's like half of August and half of September. We're going out doing about 20, 25 dates, so it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I've been listening to your album nonstop for the last few days. Really digging it.
That's cool, man. Thank you. Yeah, we had fun, man. We had fun making it. It's always interesting to see where these records are going to end up once you start writing and recording them. But we're getting great feedback on this one, and it's entered a bunch of different charts all around the world, and so we're very happy. Life is good in Daisyville.
Nice to hear. When you start recording, do you have a certain sound in mind, or is it just kind of what comes out? Do you discuss this, or is it just get together and jam?
No, it's just kind of what comes out, man. Like, I know this sounds really cliched or whatever, but we just kind of let the music take us where it wants to go. And when we were doing this record, it was no different. We went in and we had basically started writing. We had about 3 or 4 songs, and we were doing the writing process with Marty in New York, and her engineer basically handed Marco a bass pedal. And he said, "Oh, dude, you got to try this. It's going to change your life. This pedal's awesome." So plugged it in, and he was suggesting the pedal because he was saying, "Oh yeah, that old school bass tone like Grand Funk Railroad or Sabbath," and so we plugged the thing in, and Marco just started noodling around, and then he started playing the riff, which eventually became "What Goes Around Comes Around." And we were like, "Dude, what's that riff? What is that? That's killer." And we were all freaking out. And so we literally mapped out that whole song, "What Goes Around Comes Around." And then we're sitting there and we're like, "Man, this is great. It's like old Sabbath, Zeppelin-y, Grand Funk kind of a thing, whatever." And so we did it. And then Doug goes, "Well, I didn't realize we were going to be that heavy. I've got this other riff." And then he started playing what became Rise Up. So at that point, those 2 songs kind of dictated the whole rest of the record. And the first 3 or 4 that we worked on, we never even looked at them again.
Really?
Yeah, it just kind of was like this fluke thing. The pedal helped spark something, and we just went in a completely different direction.
So what was the original direction?
When I say completely different direction, it wasn't like we were doing Captain and Tennille or anything like that. But it still had balls to it, you know what I mean? But it just kind of took on a completely different vibe, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was weird. We're just kind of firm believers. We're kind of just firm believers in great songs just happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's just kind of what happened.
Yeah, I find this album really raw and bluesy compared to the other ones.
It is. And it's weird. The thing that I love about this record, I think it's more eclectic than the Make Some Noise record was. Now, Make Some Noise, I think, was a great album as well.
Absolutely.
But it was just kind of nonstop. We put it's like we got into the car, we stomped on the gas, and we never let up. And the thing that I personally, I can't speak for all the guys, but me personally, I'm a huge fan of albums that have different vibes through the whole thing. That's why I love bands like Zeppelin or Queen, where they would do something like Black Dog, and then turn around and do the Battle of Evermore,
right?
Or going to California. So I like more eclectic personally, and I think that we did that. The first Daisies record I did, with the guys was pretty eclectic. And then we got away from it, and then we kind of came back to that again, where we have a ballad on it. We had a couple of different, like Burn It Down to Me is kind of bluesy but heavy. And then Judgment Day is the same thing. It's kind of bluesy with an acoustic guitar. And, so there's all these different flavors all through the whole record, which I personally, I love that. So I'm pleased with it.
Yeah, it's a really nice sounding album. So you do your writing together? Because I've interviewed I've interviewed a bunch of guys, and they do all this email writing. I'll write a bit, I'll send it to you. You add your bit.
Nope.
You're in a room together.
Everything we do, we all show up. We've all got ideas on our phones or on our computers, and we just set up shop and we get in and we just go around the circle. Everybody's got an acoustic guitar, and we just start throwing ideas onto the table. And whatever ones everybody's just blown out by, that's the ones we work on. And it's all done together. Even lyrically, like there's times where I'm like, man, God, I just don't know what to write about. And somebody will say something or throw an idea at me, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll be right back. And then, so everybody helps with every aspect of this thing. There's no ego or anything either. Like there's times where Doug will go do a guitar solo, and then he'll come in and he'll talk to me and Marco or Dean, and he'll go, hey guys, check this out. And you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. But what if you did, okay, cool. And then, you know what I mean? So we all help each other. Doug will come in with lyric ideas, or even some melody or phrasing things, so we all help each other every step of the process. It's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. Where do your lyrical ideas come from?
Life, dude. Honestly, you can't, for me, I don't know, man, there's never a shortage of shit to write about. Honestly, you turn the news on every day, there's something going on there. Even past things, if you can go back and put yourself in a situation or scenario that you were in, even years ago, like when we were writing Resurrected, I just went back and I thought about how everybody wrote me off after the Motley stint that I had. And then now here I am 25 years later, and I'm still going, you know what I mean? So Resurrected was just kind of like, a polite way of saying, pardon my French, but fuck you, you were wrong. Right. I ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean? So.
Holy shit, was that 25 years ago?
Yeah, dude. You believe that shit? It's 24 right now. But I joined the band in 92. So technically it would be 26 years ago I joined the band. Next year, 2019, will be 25 years that the record came out.
Good Lord. That's insane.
I'm an old fucker.
Aren't we all?
No, I'm just speaking for myself. I didn't want to throw you under the bus.
No, I'm there with you. Why did you take so much shit for that? I don't get it.
Who knows, dude? Honestly, that's the thing about the music industry. If somebody said, here's a bottle, I've figured it out, I can take any record and make it successful. That guy would be a multi-billionaire. It's just, there's so many variables in this. The band can, put a band together and try and find the right guys. Then it's finding the right deal. Then it's writing the right material. Then it's finding the right sounds in the studio when you're recording the record. And all you can do is the best you can do up to that point. And then it's like you hand the record to somebody and hope that they've done or they will do everything right. Whatever right is, they need to do everything right. And then there's this one thing, there's the one variable that nobody knows about, and that's luck. Luck luck plays a huge part of this. And if I can give you an example, years ago, when Mr. Big was doing their thing, they did their first record, and then they went back in the studio and they did another record, their second record, which was just as good. And they went out on tour, I believe, with Rush.
I saw that.
Yeah, they were out on tour with Rush. And they'll be the first person to tell you, like, they weren't doing shit record sales. Like, it just was not translating. And they went home to possibly start. There was talk that the record label might drop them. They went back home to start writing and recording a third record when some DJ started playing I'm the One That Wants to Be With You. To Be With You, I think it's called.
Right.
And for some weird reason, that song just took off. And it gave that band and that record a whole new life again. And that song just started playing. I think it was in like Iowa. They started playing the song. Then Iowa went apeshit. Then Minnesota picked it up. And another, Illinois picked it up. And it blew up in the Midwest. And then the East Coast caught on and the West Coast caught on. And it wound up being like this massive hit single for them. And it went right back out on the road again. And they toured and they had a great year. So there's a lot of luck involved in this whole scenario as well, and it's just the stars have to just be lined up, dude, so,
yeah. See, I
have no idea why the Motley thing didn't take off. All I know is everybody at the time when we recorded it, when we turned that record into the record label, everybody was like, this record is going to be massive. And it just didn't work.
And it should have been. It's a great album. I think, in my opinion, I think it's just people don't like change.
They don't, and I get it. Listen, man, if anybody said to me, Aerosmith is going back they're going out on tour and they got a new singer, I would not be a happy camper.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
no matter how good the new album is.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking about that. I mean, just to let you know, I love that album. I thought it was great, and I thought you were great on it. So.
Well, just for the record, if you get a little side note here, I just released in January, and we actually did a show at the Brass Monkey. I believe it was the Brass Monkey, but I was out I have a side solo band with my son, and we were doing the Motley 94 record in its entirety, and we came up there and we did a show, and I had to stop doing it once I started the Daisies, but we basically recorded one of the shows here in Nashville, and I just released it in January, so that's out there as well, the live album.
Well, so you've been at the Brass Monkey before?
I have, yeah.
It's a good little club.
Yep, and it's gonna hopefully. It'll withstand the amount of abuse that the Dead Daisies are going to give it that night.
They've been getting some really good shows there. I just saw Richie Kotz in there. Steve Harris is coming there with his British Lion. So yeah, they're getting some really good shows at that place. It's a good
That's
venue.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, the new album, you have a Rolling Stones cover and a Beatles cover. Now it takes some serious balls to cover those bands. When you're covering a band like the Beatles or the Stones, how do you approach that? I mean, they're so legendary.
You know what? A good song's a good song, though. A good song will lend itself to any treatment. I learned that actually doing a show here in Tennessee. I did a charity event a few years back, and this guy contacted me. It was like a halfway home for kids with cancer. And I went and I sent him, they knew my set list, and so he asked if I'd play, and then it was funny. About a week later, the guy called me back, and he said, "Hey, I got some buddies here. They're like bluegrass guys, but they'd like to sit in with you on a couple of your tracks." So I basically sent him all the songs. I said, "Yeah, dude, you guys figure out what ones, and we'll get together before the show." I sent them all the songs that I was doing, and I showed up, and we just kind of did a quick little rehearsal. It was weird. I'm sitting there, I'm looking around, and I rehearsed with these guys, and I went back. My wife came with me, and I said, "Man, this is either going to be awesome, or people are just going to stone me alive," because we wound up doing the entire set was me on acoustic guitar with a bluegrass band behind me, and we did a bunch of Scream stuff and Union and Motley stuff, and they just kind of interpreted it their way, and it fucking came out amazing. I got off stage, and I kind of looked at my wife and I go, how did it go? What did you think? And she was just like, that was fucking amazing. That was unbelievable. And it's just, it worked. It was awesome. I had a great time with those guys. And in the boot, one of the guys made the most amazing moonshine I think I've ever had in my life. So we just sat around and got completely obliterated with them afterwards. It was awesome. But yeah, that was up in the mountains in this town called Asheville, North Carolina. John Corabi played with a fucking bluegrass band and did Hooligan's Holiday with them. And it was insane. It really was unbelievable.
Very cool.
So we just sat down and we're like, the Stones tune, there's so many to choose from. But we basically, when we picked the Stones tune, we kind of went with Bitch because it was the one song, that guitar riff just really lends itself to the rest of our record. And then we just had fun. I mean, Revolution was a little harder, but we were, we kind of wanted to do something a little different with it instead of just doing that little shuffle thing that they do.
Right.
So we kind of toughened it up a little bit. But the lyrics, honestly, that was written in 1968 and are still as prevalent today as they were back then.
Absolutely.
So we just said, let's do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, they sound great.
Thank you.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do now. I've done this with a couple people. What I do is I get my daughter to write some questions. And she's never heard of you. She doesn't know anything about you. She saw one picture of you, and she wrote down some questions that she wanted to ask you. She was born and raised in South Korea, so she wanted to know if you've ever been there and what you thought about Korea if you have been there.
Actually, to be honest with you, we were just there about a year and a half ago, and we went over to do some shows for a bunch of the military guys at the military bases.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we were over there, loved the food, the people were very cool, and it was pretty awesome visiting some of those military bases that are over there. It was really trippy because we went to one that was in South Korea, but it's right there at the DMZ zone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And man, you could literally look across this field and there was North Korea. So we were like, this was obviously a year and a half ago, so tensions were running pretty high. And, so we were like, wow, this is trippy. This is crazy. We're here and right there is that's the guy, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
it was pretty trippy.
Yeah, it's very intense up there.
Yeah. But it was great, man. People were awesome. Obviously, the soldiers were very pleased that we came out to play for them. So we had a good time, man. It was cool. Love it there.
Awesome. What do you focus on when you're on stage?
That's a good question, man. Honestly, I'm just, it's funny. Most of the time, I still get very nervous before I go on because as a singer, you don't know. You can do the exact same thing the exact same way every day. And it's just you just never know if your voice is going to cooperate with the rest of your body.
Yeah.
So usually the first couple, the first song or so, I can pretty much judge in the first tune whether it's going to be a rough night or, a good night. And, so that's what I'm focused on prior to the show. And then during the show, I'm usually just focused on trying to remember all of the fucking lyrics. You know what I mean? I could never understand why a lot of artists use teleprompters on stage with their lyrics. And I'm just like, why the hell do they need the fucking teleprompter? They wrote the goddamn things. They can't fucking remember their own lyrics. That's bullshit. Now I'm going, oh, I get it. Yeah. Especially when you're old and senile like I am.
Do you look at the crowd a lot? Do you focus on a certain person?
Periodically, you'll look at somebody and they'll either say something like, I notice, like, what's that thing, like, you know, girls do now, like they make the little heart sign with their hands.
Right.
So, you know, there'll be a girl in the audience doing the heart sign, and you're like, oh, that's sweet, you know, blah, 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 whatever, and I start talking to them, or I'll, bend down and shake their hand or whatever. So I try to make eye contact as much as I can.
Okay, now here's it's a very Spinal Tap question, but she wants to know, what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you on stage?
I can tell you this. I don't know, how old is your daughter?
She's 16.
Okay, so you may want to rephrase this, but I bought a brand new pair of, when I was in the Scream, or maybe it was Motley, but I bought a brand new pair of black suede, skin tight, tie up the front pants. And about 3 songs in, I did this jump, and then I'm like, ooh, it got really chilly suddenly. And people were just staring, but they weren't staring at me like they're staring. And then I realized I sang about 3/4 of the song with my fucking dick hanging out because the entire ass of so I'm like, fuck. So I had to kind of run backstage and tuck it over into one leg and then throw a piece of cloth in it. It was stupid. Like, I was literally swinging away, just, balls, the whole bit was just out in the open, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. So that would be the most embarrassing. Yeah, yeah.
All right, one more for you, and then I'll let you go. I know you got a busy day. This is a really fun question. What's the craziest food you've eaten in all your travels around the world?
Craziest food I've eaten? I'm usually pretty open with trying things, but there's some things like I just like if you hand me a plate of deep fried chicken rectums, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't really say that I've eaten anything outrageous, although I did have in Switzerland this thing called cheval, and I had no idea what it was. And a friend of mine ordered it for me. He said, do you eat meat? And I said, yeah. He goes, do you like steak? I go, love steak. He goes, okay, let me order for you. We're in this, in Switzerland, it's kind of divided. There's like a French section, a German section, an Italian section. And then, so we were in the French section, and, so he ordered me this steak and potatoes, and I don't know, asparagus or something, whatever. And I ate this meal, and he waited till I was done, and I was having coffee afterwards. And he goes, did you like your steak? And I go, yeah, it was fucking great, man. It was like no fat. It was killer. He goes, do you know what you ate? And I said, nope, not a clue. You're obviously getting ready to tell me, and I appreciate the fact that you waited till after I was done. He goes, you had horse. And I was like, horse? And yes, cheval. It's a horse. It's horse, which is common in French restaurants, So obviously then for the rest of the night, I was like, stomping my feet on the floor, and I'm like, I need more wine, whatever. But that would probably be the most awkward thing that I ate, and I didn't realize I was eating it until afterwards.
That's exactly
which is probably best.
That's what happened to me with dog when I was in Korea.
Oh, Yeah, I don't know if I'd be happy about that one though. Again, that's just one of those, you know, why are you good with eating a cow if you're not good with eating a dog kind of a thing. You know what I mean? But
right.
you just look at it in a different light. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah,
certainly
can't do it.
Yeah, no matter how good it is. I don't know how to thank you for this. This has been great. I'll be at the show in Ottawa. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great.
Well, when you get back there, make sure that you say hello, and we'll hopefully, if we have a minute or two, we can grab a beer or whiskey or something afterwards.
Sounds perfect to me. Good luck with everything coming up.
All right, buddy. Thank you.